Well, hello. I know exactly what you're thinking. You're thinking, Victoria, how is my life like a tree? My name is Victoria Rose, and I have returned from backpacking solo through Europe, Turkey, and Asia, and I did that for 16 months. Currently, I'm backpacking solo around Australia under the same conditions just to see if, like I did in Europe, can I live on an Australian pension the exact same way? So I'll be keeping you updated all about that. In this episode, season 3, episode 5, I do want to share with you a new way, a different way, or perhaps you know of this way to look at your life, but I now can remind you or refresh your memory on looking at your life like this, because looking at your life like this makes so much sense. For over a decade, I had my own training company and I travelled all around Australia and New Zealand delivering leadership training. And the main point that I had to get across to everyone in the room, people who were team leaders, middle managers, upper management, CEOs, all of those types of people who were deemed as leaders, I had to find a way for them to really see that unless they can lead their own lives, unless they can apply some principles to their own life, both in the workplace and the home place, then they would have no chance to lead teams. Today, I want to share with you 3 big takeaways if you look at your life as a tree. Now, I would love you to share your stories, to comment, to like, even share this live stream if you believe that there is someone else that would love to understand this concept or even look at their lives in a different way. Because too often we point the finger of blame at others. Too often we do not take responsibility for how our own life is. And I firmly believe that until we do that, until we own the responsibility of our own lives, and we do it now, then we will continue to be puppets and not persons. There's someone else pulling the strings. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't like that. Even making mistakes, I want to be the one who directs my life. And those mistakes that I've made, and there have been many, I've been walking on this planet for a long time, those mistakes are where I had my biggest learning curves. So let's look at the first point. But before we do, I'll give you a scenario. So you've been fortunate enough to go away on holidays. You were away for quite a few weeks and you had someone in to look after your garden, but sadly they could not do that for you because of their own life circumstances. So you arrived back home to find your beloved garden a sad and sorry mess. You walked out and you saw your tree. So there was this fabulous tree that you totally loved, and it was so sad. Not at all as gorgeous as these trees that you can see behind me today. No, no, no. These trees had gone from reaching up proudly to the sky and with their leaves vibrant and reaching out for more sunshine and more of the good things that trees need to live, to thrive. Not this tree. This tree was hanging down, really sad. All the leaves were tight, curled in. It was a very tragic looking tree. So straight away, you rushed to get the hose to water your tree. So here's the point. When you went to water that tree, did you aim the hose, the spout of water, to only the leaves and the branches, only the top of the tree? Is that where you aimed the water? I'm kind of guessing you didn't, because doing that does very little for the health of the tree, because what causes the tree, or what dictates the health of the tree, is not that which is visible above ground, generally, most of it anyway. It's that which is not visible and is below ground. And of course, we know that I'm talking here about the roots. So what you would do to bring your beloved tree back to life is you'd aim the water down on the ground, knowing that that water would soak in and would be just what the roots of this tree needed. So when we have a look at trees, if you were to somehow go under the ground and just slice off all the roots, would the tree die? Yes, the tree would die. If you then, instead of doing that, at the top above ground, went and sliced off the tree until almost ground level, would the tree die? Well, it all depends on the kind of tree. Most trees will, because their roots are intact, will grow again. They might be a different shape, but they'll grow. So here's the interesting thing about our life as a tree. We focus so much on that which can be seen, on that which is above ground, and we pay little attention to that which we can't see, to that which is below the ground. So how do people do that? So they're living a life and they're not happy, they're sad, or they don't have enough money, they're living a life of lack, but somehow can still find the money. And I've done this to go and get the hair done, which, by the way, I did yesterday. I'm not too sure it's successful, but it'll grow. We can always find something to consume. We become, although we put an R on the end of that, and we become consumers. So we buy stuff to consume. And we might go and get our hair done. We might go and get new clothes. We might go and buy a new car for the status thing to make us feel good. New clothes, whatever it is we do that we need to help ourselves to feel better. It's all the above ground stuff. Now, I've just shared with you something you already knew, that it's the above ground stuff. Actually, you can cut all that off, and it matters little. The thing that will prompt new life, that will create new life, is that which is below ground. So the first point is, as above, so below. So what does that mean? We don't see people's beliefs, that which is hidden. Although we do, but I'll share that a little bit later. We only see that which is above ground. We don't know their story. We don't know why they do what they do. It's all hidden, and we only operate with others based on that. We only do that with ourselves most of the time. We look in the mirror, and if we don't look good by our estimation, or if we do dumb things, most of us don't think, well, as above, so below. What is it that's driving me here? What is really the important thing about my life? What do I need to look at? And what you need to look at are those things that are below ground. Those things, I call them the roots of your discontent. Because very few of us grow roots. I'm not saying you don't grow a root like this. You know, the one that says, I am amazing. I am capable of doing whatever I want to do. I can manifest good things. I create joy. I have good friends. And so the words can go on. I don't hear too many words like that coming out of people's mouths. No matter which country I'm in, I have noticed that people might respond differently, but basically the principle is the same. That's your life as a tree. So let's look at that now for our second point. That which is below ground, that which is hidden. Now, I gave this principle of the tree, as I said in the beginning, to many businesses, to many corporations, people sitting in that audience there who are too eager to blame the boss or the boss's boss or the organization, the government, anything, but for them to stop and have a look at themselves and say, hang on, what am I doing in life? So the second point is all about that which is hidden. As I've said, the roots of your discontent. So what is hidden? What is your root system? What is it that you believe about life? I can tell you right now, and I know this because when I did my corporate training workshops on leadership, over 12,000 participants over that just over a decade, I had the feedback, and I absolutely know what two main beliefs are that people have about themselves. And I'm wondering if you're the same. Are these two part of the roots of your discontent? Because like I was saying before, so few people actually say fabulous things about themselves or just talk about themselves in a joyful way or what they're doing in life, instead of talking about woe is me and lack. So here are the two belief systems, and they're not going to be strangers to you. The first one is, I am not good enough. I knew you'd know it. Most of us have that belief running through our minds whenever we're going to step outside our comfort zone. If you're still working, if ever you want to step up and go to a higher position or do something different. No, I worked with a woman once who was miserable, so miserable in her job and what she was doing. So I said to her, crikey, why don't you look for another job? Why are you staying here? You're so unhappy. And of course, there's that saying, better the devil you know than the devil you don't, right? Which is, don't ever say that, please. If anything's ever going to keep you in a box, that saying will. So she said to me, no, I won't get another job. The only reason why I've still got this job is because I've been here so long. I cannot go out. I'm not good enough to find another job. Where do we get that from? Most of us, not all of us, but most of us get that from our family as we're growing up, our parents, our aunties and uncles, our older brothers and sisters, and then we've got our teachers, and we've got those other significant people in our lives that keep in some way letting us know that we are not good enough. So you need to take a hold of that. And do you think that about yourself when you want to do something that is taking you outside of that uncomfortable comfort zone? Is that thought running through your mind? I am not good enough. So that's the first one. Yep. And if you don't have that belief in your life, I want you to share that with us. Please let us know. No. And I'm going to say to you, bravo, because so many people do have that belief, and I have as well. When you've been brought up with you're not good enough, you act in the way that you are not good enough. And of course, life reflects your own belief system back at you. Yes, you're right. You are not good enough. What's the second main belief, the most common belief? That one is, I don't belong. It's part of our DNA. It's part of our needing to belong to a tribe, to a clan, to a group, for our very survival. And if we don't belong to anything, then that can be an incredibly sad position to be in. I don't belong. Let's go back to the workplace again. I'm talking now about the Australian workplace, and I know this to be true because I've asked this question to thousands of business participants in my workshop. So let's say you have someone, perhaps they're new or they've moved from outside the organisation or moved from another department, or for whatever reason, this person is in your team and you don't like them. What is it that happens in most Australian workplaces? And I venture to say, not only those groups either. What happens if you don't like someone? Well, they're ostracized. This happens in schools. It happens in many, many places. So that person that isn't liked for whatever reason, they're made fun of or they're ignored, they're ostracized, they're isolated. Now, what happens is that they've got this belief that I'm not good enough. This, of course, reinforces that belief that they're not good enough. Sadly, some people will then go to extremes to be accepted, to become annoying, and then that rejection is even higher. They're the two main, most common beliefs that people have about themselves. I'm not good enough and I don't belong. Now, if you have that internal belief, and if you haven't got that, you've either done some pretty serious work on yourself or you are just delusional. You don't think you had that because you're perfect or you're fine, your life's great. And listen, that is good if it's true. If you can put your hand on your heart and say, I'm happy, I'm living the dream, I'm doing the things that I want to do in life, I'm living the life that I want to live. Yes, I've settled, and I've settled with the circumstances that make me happy, because that decision is yours alone. So that's the second point. Here is the third point. The truth is that what you believe about yourself is not hidden. It is in plain sight for everyone to see, because what you believe about yourself is reflected in the circumstances that you find yourself in. You don't have any friends or any friends that you actually value. Why would that be? have a think about that. You have a lack of money and it concerns you. You're not comfortable with that. Why would you have a lack of money? Have you ever wondered why so many people in this world of ours are poor, are broke, have little money? Now that's a deep subject and we're not going to go into that. That's not the reason for this live stream. The third point is for you to have a look at your circumstances, and the circumstances of your life other people can see if they care to look. Of course, too many are too busy on their mobile phones, looking down, responding to this, being distracted by that. And have you noticed it's not just the young ones, any age, male or female, can certainly be distracted by that. But here's my recommendation to you. If your life is like a tree, meaning that you are only attending to all that which is above ground and still finding that you are sad, life isn't turning out the way you hoped, or any other thing about your life that distresses you, it's not that which is above ground. No matter how many new dresses you buy, no matter how many holidays you go on, that does bring you joy and happiness, but it's not long lasting. You go back to your home and say, oh my God, when's the next holiday? We can't go to Asia now. All of those cruises are being cancelled, going to Asia. Where can we go? You constantly want to be on that feel-good journey. It would work out really good for your life if you examined that which is below ground. So what are the beliefs that you have? And the third point is the fact that you may be delusional about your beliefs and how you think about yourself. But for those that are looking, and trust me, there's always someone looking who's aware and who probably cares about you as well and sees the reality of your life. But here's the biggest takeaway from my live stream today. I recommend that you start today a belief book. Just buy yourself a very small notebook. I mean really small, about that big, really small. Keep it in your purse or in a pocket, wherever you want to keep it. Then have a pen as well. And whenever you hear yourself say something that really isn't supporting you, that is a root below ground that cannot grow, a thriving above ground, like I'm not good enough, I don't belong, no one likes me, all of those things that we say, write it down, guys, write it down. And also, it would be really useful if you put the date and the time that you said that. Now, why am I saying write it down instead of getting out your phone and putting it in notes? Because there is scientific proof that when you actually write things down, it makes a greater connection to your mind and it's more meaningful. So what if you actually went ahead and did that? I can tell you now that you will be shocked. Even let's say you commit to doing it for 1 week. Even after 1 week, you will be shocked, I guarantee it, at how often you say things that don't work for you. They're a rotten root. They're the roots of your discontent. I call them that for a reason. Well, you need to root them out. And here's the kicker. It's not just what you say, as we know. It's those thoughts that go on in your mind too, and you can pick them up and you write them down. Let me share with you one example before I finish the live stream today. And this one example is, it was just outside Sydney about almost 2 years ago. And this very jolly woman, a leader, but very jolly, very happy, in the front row. And in my workshops, I mostly get them to work in teams. So this particular woman said before morning tea at least 3 times, "Oh, I'm so stupid." We were doing a session on communication because, interestingly enough, so many people think they're great communicators. Lack of clear communication is one, if not the main problem that we have in our lives today. After she said it the 3rd time, I had to say to her, "Do you realize that you have said 3 times, 'Oh, I am so stupid'?" She was shocked. She wasn't aware of it. And then she got angry at me. She said, "Oh, I'm only joking." What is so funny, guys, about calling yourself stupid? Let me say to you that in that particular case, every time she called herself stupid, there were other people in the room that were nodding their heads. Don't do that to yourself. What sort of way can you conduct yourself with confidence if you are continually telling yourself something about yourself that you actually don't like? It's not a joke. Be careful what you say to yourself, because not only are they listening, you are listening. You are telling yourself things about yourself that you actually don't want. I hope you enjoyed my live stream today. And let me just share something that's really important to me. And this is it. This is what we need. There is so much stress and blame and things that are happening that are so sad, criminal in fact. We all need to have more heart. In all my travels around the world, this was the main thing that was lacking. And I have to tell you that there were some countries that were able to show more heart than others. So here I am in Australia. Yes, the world seems like it's going crazy. Do not lose operating from your heart. Do not become so angry, so bitter, so aggressive yourself, because you're only adding to the environment, to the vibes, to the feeling around you. And we all know when someone's sitting at the table and they're angry, we can feel it. Don't you be like that. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed my live stream. How is your life like a tree? I can develop this theme out to hours. I only wanted to give you that brief example that I believe is so important. It's not what's above the ground. The most important part of who you are is what's hidden, what's below the ground. What is it that you believe about life, and does that belief serve you? Well, ask yourself that. I'll see you next week. Please like my page, Over 60 Still Fabulous, and you can go to my YouTube channel, Victoria Rose Solo Travel, and find all of my videos there on my travels. Thanks for joining me. Bye.